Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Aparna Mishra, founder of Women Shine, welcomes you all to another episode, 57th of WS Live Talks Conversations. Today we have a wonderful person, Anupama Jain. She's an author. She writes so many things, and she does so many things. She wears so many hats. So today let's dive on to the conversations between Dr. Preeti Talwar and Anupama Jain. So welcome Preeti, welcome Anupama. So let's,
Thank
Preeti,
you.
please take this discussion forward now.
Thank you, Parna. Hi, Anupma. Before
Hi.
I go ahead, two lines for Anupma. It is said that the most successful people see adversity not as a stumbling block, but as a stepping stone to success. That can be summed in two lines. Okay,
Preeti, you
Anupma.
are. Thank you for that warm, very, very warm welcome, Aparna. Unfortunately, before I could say thank you, she's slipped out. Thank you very much, Preeti, for doing this on a very coldish Saturday evening here. We should call, I think, the conversation as three states instead of two states. Since we are logging in
That's
from
right.
different parts of India and having conversations about what I love the most, books and writing.
It's our pleasure, and it's a big pleasure for us to have author Anupma Jain on our show today.
Thank
So,
you so much, Preeti. But as I always tell everybody, I'm just a plain Jain. It's just very
uh,
so nice
if
to
you
say
if
that.
you say you're a plain Jane, I don't know because you are an inspiration. I should say, the way you have come up,
Thank
one
you
cannot
so
even
much.
think about it. That is why I just said adversity makes person successful, and you are one of them.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Let us ask Anupma a little about herself, how she went or she dived into this writing area. Over to you, Anupma. A little about yourself.
Preeti, if you were to ask me 10 years earlier at that I'll be sitting here chatting with you and talking about my writing journey as an author, I would have said, what? Because there was never any game plan that I am going to be a writer or I'm going to be writing books and I'm going to be tutoring so many kids over the past 10 years about English and so many things. It just I'm sometimes, I think sessions like this, instead of, constantly running against time, help you pause and understand and be a little thankful of how far life has brought you. Thank you for giving me this, opportunity where I can just stay still and say, oh, yes, this is a long journey that I've had. But I must tell you, this is just 10 years old. The whole journey is about 10 years old because I am an MCA and with the help of my husband, actually I was helping my husband. It was his baby. We ran a mom pop show of great code. I was leading a team of animators and we did great stuff. After that, my husband decided to hold up his shop and take up a job in an MNC, and I moved with him. My two kids had arrived by then, so I was just vegetating. I didn't do anything. But in 2013, I was discovered with a big illness. Unfortunately, the days are such that people are even too willing to fake their own death to get into limelight. But uh, going through an illness, surviving that, coming out of it is actually serious business. It's not funny. I had TB of glands, so I had no energy left whatsoever. So I would just lie down next to my husband, my son, who was taking all his exams. Then I would make this small, Facebook posts, random Facebook post about anything and everything. Somehow, social media was not such an angry place then. So whatever witticisms that I made somehow found traction. So somebody guided me to write blogs on parental forums, and somebody said, "Why don't you put your short stories on various websites?" One of the short stories became part of an anthology. And when I went for that book launch of that anthology, those were the good days when we were invited to write for anthologies. So when I went for that book launch, my God, I was smitten. I said, this is what I want to do all my life. Then one thing led to the other. I started participating in various competitions, be it blogging or short story writing. Then I started winning awards for my parental pieces. I started writing my own byline at Readomania called AJ Wants to Know. I had complete freedom to write whatever on whatever, no censoring whatsoever. So it was a very satirical piece about the happenings of around. That won me 2 humor awards at Women's Wear. And meanwhile, a short story, all of 370 words, not even 300, 370, it's about 270 odd words. I had written, it's about a single character who's called Padma Lakshmi, a South Indian, but she comes to the city, acquires a patina of glamour, becomes Paula, Padma Pa, Lakshmi La, Paula. So, and she's going in the lift, and that 2 minute ride, what happens to her, my publisher liked it so much. He said, why don't you make a novel out of it? Imagine, usually people plan, they write 3 chapters and they have the entire thing planned out. Here I had just a core of onion and I had to build the onion out of that. And from that came the first one, when Padma Bani Paula. This is about 70,000 words. So from 300 words, I had to extrapolate to 70,000 words. And this was listed as one of the 5 best books, fiction, by readwriteinspire.com in 2018. Then I digressed into writing for children. I wrote a book called, this is retelling of India's oldest classic, Katha, Sarita, Sagara. So this is also KSS, King, Saviours and Scoundrels. The book was received so well that a collection of this, we got curated and we wrote this for DPS Sector 45 and its sister concerns in Jaipur. So 3 schools are reading. This is the second year in this thing that we are doing this. And I am also going to the same school and mentoring the children as their creative writing consultant. So I think it's just very organic the way it just moved on, one thing led to the other, and I think it's just the universe showering all its best wishes on me, and that's how things have taken off. That's all I can say.
It's marvelous, and the way you have come up, it's just commendable. Because
Thank you so much.
going through so much, when you hit rock bottom, and then
Oh,
you
I have had multiple diseases. I mean, I've had so many things, yeah. Off then my blood, the hemoglobin level fell down to 5,
got
and I had to be hospitalized. Then COVID, I had terrible COVID twice. I managed to survive both times. It was actually bad. Then now I'm battling diabetes, so it is not a easy life. But I guess that's how it is.
but that the way you have survived it, I mean, it's not easy. You see dark days, and then you're surviving,
Oh,
and you
yeah,
are
there
coming out of it. Is hats off, because
it's not so easy also, Preeti. Of
no,
course,
it's
there have
not
been
easy.
very,
But
very, very dark days at times.
yeah,
There are days when I just don't want to get up, just don't want to do anything. But I guess when I write something, that's what I feel the happiest. So I guess you can get up and take the day as it goes.
how would you describe an author? Rather, like you have, since you never had a literary background, you didn't, and then you ventured into this. So, as an author, how do you describe yourself? Is it
Preeti, I told you I am visiting a good school, very precious school in Gurgaon as their creative writing consultant. So we were doing an exercise. What are you grateful for? So they're little children, and one of them asked me, "What are you grateful for?" So it took me a while. Everybody says, "Okay, I am grateful for my parents. I've got a house on my, head, roof on my head, I've got this car, bank balance, etc. But truly speaking, what are you truly grateful for? What is your legacy? I feel I am grateful for this discovery that I have the, you know, felicity with words, the words that, that sometimes I am able to connect with people. I'm able to connect with others through my stories. So an author is someone who is able to spin magic with words, whatever
Right.
genre it is, and
Yeah.
able to connect with with a reader who's willing to invest his or her hard-earned money and make that person forget the troubles of life even for a little time. Now that's an author, I feel.
Well said. Because even I feel that you just toggle between, I think, reality and fiction in one line. That is what I feel an author
Yes,
does.
yes, yes. The difference between real and real is just an A.
Right. Yeah.
Just two vowels. You replace the vowels and you've got a whole
Absolutely.
different story altogether.
True. True. And since your schedule demands a lot of attention, like you are a mentor, you're an educator, you are a blogger. Do you follow any kind of a system while you're writing? Somebody is like a night owl or a morning lark. How do you do it?
I am actually these days it's at least it's become very suffocating because I'm just not able to find my time to sit and write. I am supposed to write something and finish it off, and I realize when I'm not able to write, I start getting very fidgety, very unhappy, and not in the good headspace. Unless that words just are put on paper. But what I am is a night owl, definitely. I'm not a morning
Night owl.
bird. Night owl. My mother, I'm a South Indian, so the perception is all the South Indians are morning birds, and then you get up 4 a.m. and you do it. 4 a.m. is like I'll start getting palpitations. I'm just not a morning person, so I think I'm more of a night owl. When I've dealt with the day, everybody has gone off to sleep, then I have nothing else hanging on my head. Yes, I can sit and write my words then.
Is it on a regular basis? Or when and
That
how you
is
feel like?
right now, though I'm not really writing much, but what happens is earlier when I used to write, I that used to be like 11:30 to 12:30 or 11 to 12 used to be my writing time.
Oh,
you know, when I would just sit and write when I had to complete the book, or whenever I could find, whenever I could snatch time of the day, I would sit and write.
that's great. I mean, with so much on your head and your hands and the
Yes.
family, it
I also cook. I also cook, Preeti,
wow,
3 meals a day. So I've been cooking for. I think I cook better than I write. So yeah.
my God, you have these two things together: a writer, a cook, a blogger. Oh, any
Yeah.
other passions? Please share.
I also talk to my birds. I took to talk to my plants, and like my
You are
children, they
also a
don't.
plant lover. I'm
Yeah,
also a plant lover.
I love.
We have a common thing. I
I
am a
love
plant lover.
plants. I mean, give
Same
me
here.
a plant, yours for all this thing. Yeah.
It's a hobby which you cannot come to an end because you go on and on. You
Preeti, before we moved into this house of ours, we used to stay in a huge place where I had a back garden and the front garden. So I have grown all the vegetables. There were days we wouldn't go to the market. I would take my children and point out, "Acha, aaj kya khaoge?" Then I would cut the full gobi or palak or patta gobi and aloo. I
wonderful.
have grown all sorts of this thing. So much so that when I was growing tomatoes, the monkeys used to come and eat. So I took a lathi and ran after a monkey, and monkey came and bit me. So I have
Oh God.
toast that also. I have grown I've grown sugarcane. I've grown strawberries, watermelon. You say I've done that. But now in a
Wonderful.
very difficult. So I have these small planters. that's what I managed to look after. That's about it.
So many things. How do you manage? I just want to ask you a typical day in the life of Anupama Jain. How would
Right
it be?
now, it's so boring and really, Preeti. It's such a boring life now. I get up very late by standards of people. I'm like 8:30. I just put one finger out of the rajai and see, do I get up now? The days I have to go to DPS, I drag myself out. I get up. I look at my phone. Typically, by the time, thousands of messages, the same good morning WhatsApp messages by that time, or that your condominium messages where they're asking for maids or complaining against drivers, or dogs, and all that messages have finished. Then I'm very particular about my morning coffee. So I have a good, I believe if I have a good coffee, my day goes well. Then I switch on the TV. Then I read papers. Then rustle up some breakfast. Then cook. By the time I finish with all the ablutions, then it is time. If I have time, I write a bit. Then I'm constantly checking my group, senior school moms. Then the parents start leaving messages because it's the exam time. So parents are actually more difficult to handle than the children themselves. So I attend to that. Then by 5, the kids start trooping in. And by the time I'm done, it's 8 o'clock. Then I maintain silence, much to the relief to my husband, because I have spoken so much by that time. I just don't want to speak. So everybody in the house also relaxes for half an hour. We're going to have peace and freedom. Then I see a bit of YouTube, make dinner, and then eat. Yeah, then connect with children, brother, mother. Then, if I still have time, read a lot. I read a lot of opinion pieces around that come, because I feel those are very very compelling reads. Then and these are short and quick and quirky reads to read. By the time it's time to hit the set, 1:30 I sleep.
1:30. Quite
One
early.
o'clock. 1 o'clock. One. I think I sleep. 1 p.m. 1 a.m. I'm off to sleep by then.
What actually inspires you to write these particular novels? Like anything, everyday life, or like
So, Preeti,
you are
as I told
interacting
you,
so much
I
with people?
see, as I told you, I started writing these small Facebook posts, small ones, remember? So there was somebody who wrote a story in a group called Gurgaon Moms. So I don't know what happened. I said I can also write, and I wrote 100-word story about infidelity. Now,
Okay.
infidelity, everybody writes about the mother, I mean, the partners basically, but nobody talks about the effect it has on children.
Right.
So, my first, I remember the name still vividly, though I've written multiple stories after that. The first character was called Mandira. So she is the wayward child. So and it was, if I look at it today, it's terribly written. It's terribly written. But somehow, because it was different, that uh, we were talking about the effect on the child, it everybody loved it, and somebody said put it on a website. That's the first part of the story that I put on Readermania. And then eventually there were 3 parts to it. Part when she grows up, and then she goes through her own this thing. And there was an editor who would fine tune my stories and made put it up on the website. Now these 3 stories were clubbed together, and they wanted to put it as an anthology, in the part of anthology as a story. So I received an email on my mail that we want to publish your story. We need your permission. Now, in which world do you get that? So I really looked at that phone number. In those days, people would share their social media profile. I went there, I checked. Oh, this man has a child. He looks okay. He's safe enough to talk to. Then I, made cross checked him so much. Poor Dipankar Mukherjee, that's the publisher of Reader Mania. He indulged all my nonsense. And when I went to the book launch, it was in Oxford Bookstore in Connaught Place. Fancy, it was so fancy. And we were like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. Then I started looking at this rather seriously. I mean, what is this entire business of being an author? So I started warming the benches of all these book launches, where authors would talk about, the power of their words and how they're, cleansing souls and cleaning this world. And all. I said, "Why God, I want to be a part of this world." And then when this opportunity dropped in my lap, I grabbed it with both my hands. So the first book when I wrote, when Padma Bani, Paula, I wrote 20,000 words and I thought, this is done. I sent it and said, okay, I finished with the novel. And he actually sat me down and he said, this doesn't work like this. You have to write a little more. Then there were two people who really helped me. One is Deepti Menon. She's an amazing lady. I have never met her so far, but she's been extremely
Wonderful
helpful.
author. Wonderful author.
Wonderful author. She was
Lovely.
so kind. And Vasudha Chandana Gulati. She was Right India winner, but she's now dropped off to the radar. So then slowly I managed and I penned this. Now this after this I decided, okay, this is very sugar and sweet. Love is a four-letter word. Love is truly a four-letter word. This is all honky dory. Now let us talk about what happens when actually love is not one, when that today only today morning I was reading love, we say, is when love at first sight. It's such an overrated this thing. The actual love is when you survive each other for 20 years and you're still able to look at each other in the eye, no?
Absolutely.
So I wanted to see what happens when actual life takes over. So I penned this. This is the latest book, When Padma Bani Wifey. This is the second installment of this. So this is such a great character that I have heard my editor talk about her with such passion. She said, I want to bash up Padma. I want to just slap her across. And saying and she's an editor who launches so many books, but she's talking about such a character as if it's a living being, and she's being so irritated about it. I feel that has been my greatest compliment because it could trigger such a feeling in her. I think that was the best part. I have the third part to also read all in this. Someday, hopefully, I put it on the paper and maybe it comes out sometime. That's what I'm
We wish
thinking.
you all the best so that we can read
Thank
it
you,
at
Preeti.
the earliest.
Yeah, thank you,
Any
Preeti.
any part or any I should say a paragraph which you would like to read for us from Padma Bani Wifey, which is very close to your heart.
Okay. Really, this part, this is an, I'm not really prepared for this because
Anything which is very close to you.
let me think about this. Okay, maybe this one. This is the MS Subbalakshmi's sonorous Suprabhatam blared loudly out of a smartphone on the bedside table, next to where
Wow.
Padma slept and lost to this world. A mellifluous contrast to Padma's squawky snorts. Padma let out a tired moan, turned over, and covered her ears with her pillow. The more you pull away from your past, the more your present and future will conspire to push you back to times long gone, muttered Padma as she shook blissfully sleeping Varun. Shut it off, Varun. For God's sake, can't you have a simpler alarm system? You know how much I had to fight to move away from those holy early morning wake up calls? Right? Why do you need to get up at 6 a.m. anyway? And why should the blessed phone be next to me? Varun grinned and took the whimpering Padma into his arms. Because early to bed and early to rise gets one all the icy, juicy worms. Thankfully, I'm a non vegetarian. Good morning, wifey, and what a splendid way to get up. Listening to that magnificent rendition in that divine voice. I'm seriously hooked. I can feel the positive vibrations all around me. Nana is correct about the beauty of rising to Suprabhatam. I feel good. Plus, the charging point is right next to you. Ergo, ta-da! Damn, Varun. Muttering expletives, Padma turned over and went back to sleep almost immediately after Varun switched off the alarm and got up with a spring to kickstart the day. It was 6:45 a.m. by the time Varun put the coffee pot to boil while quickly scanning the dailies on the table. It was time to wake up his little princess and get her ready for school. Sampurna studied at a fancy international school located at the edge of the ever expanding Gurugram and whose quarterly fee was more than the annual salary of his peon. Varun walked into the room, calling her cheerily. He drew the curtains to let the warm morning sun in and quickly snuggled into a blanket. Wakey, wakey, princess, rise and shine. Let's get to school before Mr. Chadda catches you running to your class. What do you want in your snack box? Shall I make those yummy vegetable sandwiches? Varun tickled the yawning and very reluctant Sampurna. No, Papa, I'm sorry, but I cannot go to school today. I have a humongous stomachache. On school days to avoid going, Sampurna could cry at will, and now giant sized teardrops threatened to roll out of her big, beautiful brown eye. Zampy Pampy, aren't you my little smart one, using the very word that I taught you yesterday on me? Naughty girl, no sweetheart, those limpid eyes aren't going to melt my heart. School time it is. I just take one more this thing because this is imperative. Papa, what is limpid? Sampurna was trying her best to delay the inevitable. Tell you later in the night, Santi. He then scooped up his daughter, took her to the bathroom, and added in a mock stern voice, finish up by the time I pack your dabba, okay? Papa, when Amma was getting me ready yesterday, she packed yucky idlis. They were so hard. Maybe it's Papa's turn today and Amma is fast asleep. So yummy sandwiches with extra cheese it is. You have 10 minutes to get ready. I'll complete yesterday's story while I drive you to school. No, hurry. Can I tell you a secret, Papa? Sampurna whispered, trying her last trick. And Ace really, yes, my princess. I like it more when you get me ready. You don't get angry if I say I'm sleepy. Amma scolds me. She says I'm making excuses and doesn't tell me stories like you do. I love you, Papa. And so on it goes.
Nice one. You've
Interesting.
got
Yeah.
us hooked to this novel. Actually,
Um,
what you brought out is the everyday issues, I
yes,
think, very
everyday
simply.
household work. Everyday household work. Yeah, everyday
Yeah.
household scenarios it is.
Even I would do what Padma is doing. Switch off that, put it on snooze, and go off to bed. I think that's the best thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, yes, yeah.
That
Because
is,
she has covered every minute details,
yeah, and
in your
very
book.
nicely. I mean, see, she is a humor queen. We can call her humor queen because that genre she writes so well, and she's got so many awards for that particular genre. How do you do it? Like, humor is a very tough thing to write.
Actually, I
So,
think in my house, my father and my daughter have the best humor ever. I mean, my daughter's humor is very subtle and very cutting. By the time you understand, she has moved on to the next one. And my father, and he's very funny. And his favorite pastime is to write. Let me tell you a joke, and he'll tell me the craziest and most misogynistic jokes. So what I do, whatever jokes he tells me, they're so misogynistic. So I convert it from man to woman and retell the same thing. Then the effect is deadlier,
wow.
actually. So that's
So,
how we
family
enjoy
comes into all this. It is passed on, right?
my yes, I think my father has a very funny bone and very good funny bone, and then he's reads so many of these jokes, and then he forwards, and then we exchange, and he's generally like rather seriously macho, life mein. That's what the mantra has been.
Good. Because you've taken it from there. And
They've getting more serious. The hair loss is more, and then COVID has left with no hair only. COVID has made sure whatever little hair that was there, that is
it's
also
it's
vanishing.
done the job everywhere. I think we all have suffered, and it's a very bad reaction to that.
Bad
When you think
memories.
about it, I mean, when you talk about it, such a small, minuscule sort of a thing. But the
It's a generational event, yeah.
How much
I mean, my
havoc
God.
it has rendered all over, matlab, globally. You
My
think
mother my mother was very close. I mean, she didn't realize that she was this close. My mother had a twin sister. She passed away all of a sudden within 48 hours due to COVID. And obviously, they were not allowed to meet. Nobody saw. They just showed to a tarp, wrapped up body and said, "That's your." So there was no closure. There's no closure. I mean, she realizes somehow it has hit her so hard. Now she realizes that perhaps she was far closer to a twin that she ever realized, and she feels that there weren't enough opportunities for me to tell her that what she meant, you know. For so many people, there was no closure, and that's the sad part.
Ah, that was sad. I know. We went through it so badly. Like we were affected both mentally, physically. I think it was very difficult.
Very
Could you
difficult.
pen
Very
could you
difficult.
pen down something during that period?
Used to actually, because I was running my community, senior school moms, and there were so many children who were confined to. There were some children who were abroad; they were not coming back because all flights were cancelled everywhere. And how to motivate the children at home? What are the new educational lessons? So we were running so many posts everywhere, and whatever little and oxygen. My God, I don't know. There was no oxygen. Whatever little info that we got, I used to share across. So I was flagged off by Facebook also. That time. So I was threatened कि आपका बंद हो जाएगा, group भी बंद हो जाएगा. So this is what we were doing. Pen down, of course, I would write my thoughts. What else? I mean, we were happy that we are surviving.
So that was the only way, I think, to get rid of those negative thoughts
And
at
then
that time.
I would cut my own hair, and then I would post
Everybody
videos.
did it.
All
Everybody
sorts
did
of
it.
this thing, I mean, what we did, I don't know.
It is said, now necessity is the mother of invention. I think we all did it.
Yeah,
We all
and then
went.
everybody, somebody is doing jhadu, somebody is doing puja, somebody is washing bartan while on a Zoom
Yeah,
call. All sorts of stuff happened.
everything happened. Anupma, any author whose work you really admire, either from literature or present day?
A lot of people don't give. I mean, at least the present generation. I don't know if they're reading. I thought the way R.K. Narayan wrote. You read a lot. You read so many people, but these are the two people I still feel. Um, what I do actually helps me read great masters who have penned short stories or the way they have written poems. Because I teach poetry also, but I feel both Ruskin Bond and R.K. Narayan unparalleled. They may be,
I know.
because I'm talking only about short stories, novels. There are so many people who write in so many ways, but these two, for their again, the way they have created a happy atmosphere. Personally, Ruskin Bond's story is rather
Very
sad,
sweet ones. Very
very
sweet.
sweet.
I
But
mean, any child, any adult. Yeah,
the parallel universe that he has created is so amazing. That's what I feel. And it's written in such simple English. That is
right.
actually the most difficult part. Writing for kids is the most difficult part.
Very difficult.
And even R.K. Narayan, because R.K. Narayan, I think we were to read the guide when we were in graduation, and I didn't understand why is it such a great book. But then you revisit it when you yourself reach another milestone of life, and you realize, my God, how many things has he tried to talk in that thinnest of books. And many Indian authors are writing great stuff these days. So many of them.
Yeah, that is there. I mean, I think the market is full because everybody has a story to tell.
Yeah.
The
And
publishing industry has gone up in
so
leaps and bounds.
Yes,
Each
it's so easy to
each
get
one is
published now. Yeah.
yes, and it has become very easy to get published also.
Yes.
Earlier we went after those publishers, but today it is very easy to publish. How did you discover Readomania? Was it some kind of a serendipity, or uh,
When
you
I was
had?
writing this, I think, as you say, serendipity and universe is, universe kind of in the darkest hour. It just, there is a little candle at the end of the tunnel that you grasp that and you start walking. So, I told you, I wrote this story about infidelity
Yeah,
in Gurgaon moms. Then somebody told me, um, you start. There was this group called Right and Beyond by Kiran Chaturvedi and Kanchan Banerjee is still associated with that. Kanchan Banerjee is another Indian author. She majorly specializes in thrillers. So there I saw this ad. There I saw this post about submit your stories online at Readomy. So if you, when you are lowest at your life, there are only two ways you will react. Either you are like totally bindas, you don't care a damn about the ramification, or you feel too low about everything. So I was in that space to hell with it. Worst come worst, kya hoga? So I wish I am that bindas now because life tempers you down. I very nonchalantly I started posting the stories, and that's how one thing led to the other. I would be more worried today to post like that because you had to think twice.
any kind of tips you would like to share with our readers, that like your background is non-literary, and how it has helped you to overcome these sort of issues? Others
See,
also can gain a
even
lot from
if
it.
I didn't have any literary background, but my English language, or because my mother uh, is an English prof, and
Okay.
she's done great work in that. My father is extremely well read. Every nook and corner there is a book. So they inculcated a habit of reading for into us right from our childhood. We had to read. There were so many books, and luckily there was no social media then. So we read. Out of time pass, you had to do. We read, and you have to read. Firstly, your English skills have to be good. Language skills have to be good. Whatever language you're trying to read. I mean, I can read and write my native mother tongue, Telugu, very well. That is again because of the training. So be very, very good in the language that you are attempting to write. Plus, don't hesitate to show to others and get it validated. Don't have ego there. I mean, ego is the biggest killer
Sorry.
of any person's initiative. Read if you. This is what I tell everybody. If you're writing 100, read 1,000, and read diverse pieces. Then you'll know how people are writing. What are the new styles? That makes a big difference.
Wonderful tips, and I think everybody should take a leaf out of Anupa's life.
You're
It has
so
been
kind.
beautiful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it was lovely, hearing your
Yeah,
things and how you started. You came into ventured into book writing and all. It's very inspiring. For
and
the
the way
people who
she
really want
speaks,
to.
everything is
Yeah,
straight from the heart. Like whatever
yes,
she's
that's
written,
right.
it's all straight from the heart.
Thank you
So,
And I
so
love your book titles when Padma became wifey.
wifey,
I
yeah.
really love those titles. Such
much.
interesting
So,
titles. And
so
I really, from here, from this platform, I'm really giving thanks to Readomania Dipankar for supporting Women Shine all the time. It's really a great help to us also, so that we can get good authors from Readomania. So thank you so much, Anupma. It was lovely. We've been interacting. We've been Facebook friends, but never got
yes.
chance to interact like this. So next time, whenever I'm in Delhi, Gurgaon, I'm really going to meet
Yes,
you in
please,
person.
please. And Preeti and Aparna, thank you so much for having me over. I look
It's been a
forward to
pleasure.
having with you again. And whenever you are in
Definitely.
now, please come over. Let's have a cup of tea or coffee or whatever
Yes,
your
yes,
favorite
Thank
person
you.
definitely,
is.
Definitely.
definitely.
Definitely. And we can discuss more about Padma, Bani, Wifey on that
Yes,
Wifey.
And maybe
yes,
next series of Padma
yes.
became Wifey Part 2.
Yes.
Yeah, the sequel which
Please,
is going to come.
please read this book. Please tell me how it is. It is there on Amazon and it is there on Reader Mania website. I wrote it with loads of love. Preeti, Aparna, if I have 2 minutes, I want to
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
this.
please
So,
go ahead, go ahead.
Please go
Yes,
ahead.
yes.
so this was written in 2021, Aparna, Preeti. And thanks to COVID, it went on the back burner. So after writing this, I was in a flow, so I finished writing this. And then it went on a back burner. Then meanwhile, I brought out a short story collection called Masala Mix. That took a well. Then Deepankar said, "Let's do a book since I deal with kids daily, so we should do a book, and I teach them the greatest of short stories or poetry or drama that are written." So they said, "Why don't you write a book for children?" Now I was asked to retell the oldest classic, Katha, Sarita, Sagara. So I had to read almost 2 lakh words to write about 40 stories. Yeah. And then he made me do the illustrations also for this. But
Okay.
then my heart was still stuck on this. Ye kab aayega, kab aayega. So one fine day he said, let's go for it. And then when I went back, uh, I was like, oh my God, I can't write like this now. Because what happened was this was written very free flowingly. There were no fetters tying you down. So this language, I can feel that, it was no worry or Damocles sword sort of hanging around. So it just went free, this thing. But then I had to reorient my thinking to come back to edit this because editing took some time. Everything got wrapped up by June last year. Then we waited for the cover, this beautiful cover to come.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
it's
got
really
lot of
beautiful.
very
Very
lot of
catchy, very
Very
catchy cover.
nice.
this is Sarish Mitra's work. And finally, after 3 years, this is a reality, beautiful reality. And this was on Amazon Hot New Releases for a month continuously.
Oh,
Not a
wow.
single day it came out of there are only 100 books, okay, that are listed on the Hot New Releases in any category. So this was listed in humor, one of the toughest categories. And it was there for 31 days continuously, and that I
Wonderful.
Wow.
feel is, I'm
That's an
so very
achievement.
proud of that, very proud of that. And yeah, so never lose sight of your dreams, hold on to them because
Yes.
बोलते हैं ना जितनी शिद्दत से एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा पूरी कायनात
Yes.
In your case, it is there. Absolutely. The way you have
Yeah.
come up,
yes,
wonderful.
hold on to your dreams because, and please read this, please buy this, please tell me how you like it because for an author, a feedback is like the oxygen that we need to breathe.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So thank you again, Anupma, and thank you, Preeti, being a great
Thank
support all the
you.
time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank you so
thank
Thank
you.
much.
you,
Thank you.
Aparna, and thank you,
Have a
Anupama.
great weekend. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.
You too.
You too.
Thanks. Bye.
Take care. Good night.